What do we need to do as part of this agenda? There are many parts of it, but they can be boiled down to a few basic things. First, focus on social mobility. That's still the most important plank in an inclusive society, in building an inclusive society. PM spoke about this in the National Day rally, and particularly what we want to do early in life, in the preschool years. I won't go over it again, but it's to my mind the most important part of our social agenda. Reducing the gaps in opportunity early in life that come about from people having different social backgrounds. It's natural anywhere in the world. There's nowhere in the world where opportunities are truly equal, because people come from different homes, different parental influences, different daily conversations, and different resources which are used to help children. Nowhere in the world are opportunities truly equal. But we've got to reduce the gaps in inequality, in opportunity, and make opportunities more equal early in life, before the kids come into primary school, and sustain that through the primary and secondary school years. That's fundamental to the rest of what we want to achieve, and it's fundamental to sustaining social mobility. School years are very important. We've got to continue doing and do as well as we can the approach which tries to find strengths in every individual. It wasn't always there in our system, but I think particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, we've put a lot more resources and effort into finding strengths in every individual and addressing their weaknesses. And it means some element of differentiation. For instance, normal technical, which to my mind is a very important part of our education system, enabling those who are not suited to a regular academic education to develop their strengths with a learning approach that suits them. And it's by and large succeeded. And we're trying to improve normal technical. We're trying to improve it to make it even more practice-oriented, to have more work internships, to give confidence to every child who is not suited to a regular academic style of learning. Good example. We are developing niches of excellence across the school system, not just the so-called top schools, the independent schools, some of the autonomous schools, but throughout the system. I used to be the Minister for Education. I spent 5 years at it. And one of the things that I pushed very aggressively was this idea of developing niches of excellence across the school system. So in the middle of the last decade, around 2005, we had something like 36 niches of excellence. And the autonomous schools and independent schools, of course, had more than their fair share. We now have 190 niches of excellence. Some schools, a niche of excellence in the sport, some in the arts, some in a particular field of academic learning. But every school has to aspire to do this. You can't be above average in everything. Mathematically, it's not possible. Not every school can be above average. But every school can aspire to be above average in something. And every individual can aspire to be above average in something. That's what I believe in. Very few people are strong in everything, but everyone can aspire to be strong in something. Discover your strength. We'll give you the resources, the coaching, the opportunity to go as far as possible. So that too is important. But I think we have to take care as we go forward. Take care to have the right balance between a differentiated education system and one that preserves a common core. A common core, especially in the academic experience and in the everyday experience of academics plus CCA. The right balance between what is differentiated, where students go through something different from others, and what is common, where they go through the same thing as others. That balance is important, because how you grow up, who you interact with, the classes you're in, the CCAs you do, shape your attitudes, your ease of interaction with your fellow citizens, initially your classmates and schoolmates, eventually your fellow citizens. It shapes your outlook in life. And I think we have to avoid the unintended consequence of too much differentiation between our schools and ensure as we go forward that we have enough diversity of students in all our schools, including our top schools. Enough of a diversity of students so that as kids grow up, they have that natural experience. Same cohort, same activities, same CCAs, with a broader spread of students. So that's a difficult issue in education. How do we preserve the strength of the system that is due to some differentiation, where we tackle the weaknesses of people who have got a particular weakness, give everyone with a strength and a talent the opportunity to grow that strength and talent? That requires differentiated approaches. But how do we preserve a common core that enables frequent and natural interaction as you grow up, particularly in the first 12 years of education? Beyond school, we need to continue to create bridges and ladders. Success is not and cannot be determined by what happened in your school years. That gives you a foundation, but it should not be the basis for determining who succeeds in life. We have to provide opportunities for everyone to improve and to advance on the job, regardless of the qualifications they start with. And I think there too, we have more work to do. More work to do in moving away from a system that is still too focused on academic credentials towards one that's focused on performance and providing opportunities in the workplace for every individual based on their performance and aspirations. We still have to move further in that direction. Be less like France and India and more like some parts of the United States, if I could put it crudely. In France and India, it's remarkable. Their elite is an elite that is determined in their university years. Who got into the topmost Grand École in France and into the IITs and IIMs, and the topmost universities in India, and what their scores were in the admission examinations for the Indian Administrative Service. So when they retire in their 60s, they are still ranked according to the scores they had when they entered the Indian Administrative Service. A perfect meritocracy at age 22. But that's not a perfect meritocracy because it's not a continuous meritocracy. We've got to be a continuous meritocracy, not one where things are set at age 18 or 22 or 24, but a continuous meritocracy where you're evaluated continuously based on your contributions, your ability to influence your peers, add value on the job. Make sure those opportunities are there for everyone. I had a look just today at what was happening in the MAS. I spent many years of my career in the MAS, and one of the things we tried very hard to do was to ensure that whatever people started off with when they joined the organization, opportunities were equal after they joined. MAS is a microcosm of the financial sector in some ways, highly competitive sector. They attract very good candidates, so the candidates they attract are well above average in terms of their qualifications. But once you're in the MAS, it's an even game. So I just looked at the data today and looked at what happens by the time people are 35 and beyond. Not in the first few years, but once they are 10 years on the job and beyond. Age 35 and beyond. And I found that because in the MAS there's a system each year of assessing every individual, looking at their potential, looking at their performance. And the top 20% are assessed each year. In each year they assess, look, who are those with the potential to be in leadership positions, divisional directors and beyond. And that's about 20%, a constant assessment each year as to who's in that top 20%. And I found that in the top 20% of those who are age 35 and above, the majority scored 2 distinctions or less in their A-levels. And, MAS takes in very good candidates, I have to emphasize. but the majority scored 2 distinctions or less in their A-levels. So once you're in, it's fair game. Everything depends on performance, how you respond to opportunities, how you work with your colleagues on the job. And this is the same culture that we see in many other employers, not just for the graduate officers and those who are well qualified, but up and down the ladder. And we need more of this culture. It can be done because I've seen employers who really do it, who look out for strengths in every individual, groom the individuals, and allow them to move up from blue-collar jobs to increasing levels of seniority and responsibility. In many ways, this is not just about culture and responsibility. It's also about our larger economic agenda. We will not achieve our productivity objectives, increasing productivity by over 25% in the next 10 years, if we do not also work on this culture of providing opportunity for every individual to move up. I'll give you 2 examples. One which I've got a slide for. I think someone's helping me with the slides here. It's up? Okay, good. So I met Zulkifli with Jamal earlier this year when I visited UPS. UPS is, as most of you know, one of the leading global logistics providers. He's 46 now, but he joined UPS. In fact, he joined as, this was probably his first job. He joined with O-levels in 1988 as a young man, as a dispatch rider. That's the starting job, dispatch rider. Worked hard, showed some leadership even when he was a dispatch rider, was willing to stretch himself, and started getting promoted because they spotted him and they started promoting him. He rose through the ranks, became a supervisor, then an assistant manager, finally a manager. And then sometime a few years ago, they sent him to Saudi Arabia. And he took the opportunity to become a general manager for UPS in Saudi Arabia. Now he's back. He's an air hub operations manager, which is a key managerial position for UPS because it's basically an air hub business. So he's the air hub operations manager leading a team of over 100 people. I won't give you his salary, but it's several multiples of what he started with. An ordinary Singaporean with an attitude. Second example I'll give is someone from an industry I also know well. He's from a firm called HSL, which is they work in Jurong Island. They're what are called process industry or process contractors. It's a tough business. They work with the marine companies, the refinery companies, very tough business. He started in HSL with an N-level qualification. Started as a trainee foreman in 2004. He's younger than Zulkifli, more than 10 years younger. Worked hard, like Zulkifli, promoted several times. Now he's a key superintendent in marine piling. Very tough business. He's one of the key people on the ground. Didn't happen by accident. Once again, he had a company that had seniors who groomed him, looked out for talents in every worker, groomed them, provided them opportunities on the job, sending them for courses, and giving them the opportunity to rise in responsibility and seniority. And Max now he's now been working for 8 years. He's earning more than 3 times what he started with 8 years ago. I can give other examples. In fact, the hotel industry is one where many of the general managers of our leading hotels started off with no tertiary qualifications, or they had SHATEC qualifications, and they rose through the ranks. I won't give all the names, but I know many of them. General managers of leading hotels who started off with no tertiary qualifications, but kept improving on the job. It's individual effort, individual aspiration, but it's also a system, a management culture that grooms everyone who has the potential, regardless of where they start with in their qualifications, regardless of what job they start with. And we've got to spread that culture in order that we become an inclusive society and in order that we achieve this critical economic objective of upgrading productivity and incomes.